Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Just getting a few things ready here for our silage that we're going to be doing. So I'm just moving a few tools and stuff back out of the way so that they're not going to be in the way for the actual silage harvest itself. I have paid attention to various comments. I've had a wide selection of comments, a lot of people wanting a lot of different things, so I'm trying to achieve a bit of a balance and to sort of even out what everybody wants here, and it doesn't matter what I do, some people are going to end up being disappointed. So I'm hoping that I've kind of picked the middle ground and you're all going to be happy with this. Now, I did have one very good suggestion which I really like, and that is one that I have implemented. Quite a few people said that they like the idea of the JCB Fast Track, but they're not sure, especially with the bigger one, because it just seems like it would be too big a machine to be using for this map. So maybe go with the smaller one. So instead, I've come up with a compromise that someone else has suggested. Only one person suggested this, but I thought it was such a good idea that I decided to go for it anyway. So I'll get to that in a moment. My weekly question this week is, we are soon going to be starting our harvest, and all of our straw is going to need to be baled up. So do you want me to bale it up with the baler that we already have, which is the Deutz round baler, which is right here, the Master at 52,000. Well, we've already got it. We got it on hire. So do we just use that one, the one that we've already got? Or do we go for this small Massey Ferguson square baler? Now, it's actually a big square baler. It does big bales. It's quite an old one. Now, several people have said that they don't like this one, and they'd rather that I didn't use it. I'm only going to use it for this harvest, and then we'll see. We'll sort of see how it performs, what we think of it, and so on. But we could very well decide to upgrade after that. And what I'm sort of viewing this series as is we're going to start modernizing our fleet as we move through. But anyway, we'll get to that. The Deutz round baler, do we keep that one, or do we go for the Massey Ferguson square baler? It's your vote, it's your game. Head in the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why. And of course, don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. And I am aware that some people are still having trouble being able to vote. You click on it, you vote, and then it comes up with an error and it goes back to what it was originally. Now, I don't actually, I think that the votes are still registering, but I'm not sure. So it's not it's nothing to do with my videos personally. It's a YouTube issue at the moment. So it's being reported all over the place. I don't really know if there's anything you could do about it. You could try a quick Google search on it, but I don't think at the moment. I think it's one of those things that has turned up and YouTube are working on it. Although the last couple of days I've had fewer reports of such problems, so it might be that some sort of fix has been instigated and there's another fix on its way as well. So we'll just move this one over here, so this one's out the way as well. We'll be able to drive around that without any trouble at all. Come back here and put that one on there. Excellent. Right. This tractor, the Deutz, is going to stay back here at the yard, and possibly we're going to use this one for doing rolling the clamp. Maybe we get a blade, or we get maybe the rower system thing. That one was pretty cool. So yeah, we might do something like that. Quite a few people are now saying that we should stop shoveling this grass in because we get so much of it now. We should just get the Lely Juno and start that one going. We've got Lely in here anyway. We've got a very modern robotic milking unit there, so it would sort of fit if we were to go and get the Lely Juno robot and use that for doing our cleaning. So we could very well, I think we'll probably do that. Now then, next thing on the list, our TW35, which when you jump into it, if you take a quick look, it actually comes up TW25, but that's just a minor error. But anyway, we've got the TW35 right here with the mudguards and everything, and it's a slow old beast, and several people have pointed out that I bought it and parked it up at the dealership here for several days. There's a reason for that. We parked it up at the dealership because, quite frankly, it's quite a slow creature, and the slow road speed is really detrimental to us being able to use it for a lot of tasks. So we left it in the capable hands of the dealership, and what they have done, if you look in the bottom left, bottom right hand corner at the maximum speed down there, you will see we now have a 50k box on this tractor, which means that it does 50 kilometers an hour up the road, which is around about 38 miles an hour, instead of 30 kilometers an hour. So we got a nice fast speed. So yes, they removed the old gearbox and they have installed a new gearbox for us. This is now the fastest tractor that we own, which is absolutely sensational. So I just took it for a quick spin up the road just to quickly show you. So if we just spin round again and we head back to the dealership, we need to get a trailer, and we're also going to be leasing a forager today, which is going to represent a contractor coming in and doing our silage for us. A few people said that they'd like to see us doing it ourselves with the trailed forager, but very, very few people said that. Most people didn't like that idea, so yeah, like the Pottinger Mech 6 had several people saying they'd like to see that one being used. Well, I say several. I had a couple of people saying they'd like to see that being used, but not very many at all. Most people were along the lines of the Russell Mash. Now, some of you wanted the old one, some of you like the idea of the new one. I'm going for the new one because if a contractor is coming in to do it, they would be using a new machine. And besides which, I've been doing some other stuff, so I haven't had time to go and find an old mod and test it properly to make sure it's not going to crash anything. So, no! Oh, no. Oh, thank goodness. We're using I just bought it. We don't want to buy it. I've got 400,000 euros at the moment. So we have got a massive amount of cash around, which means that we could actually afford to buy it. We don't want to buy this one. We're leasing this one. We may buy it next year, but a lot of this money that we've got lying around, we're going to be using for buying some more land. That's the principal reason for saving this money at the moment, is that I want to buy some more land. So let's sell that back for the 221,000 euros. No, we're not buying a forager today. We're just leasing it. Right. Russell Mash RSM 1403. Select no upgrades or anything available. We lease that one. Still 20,000 euros. It is expensive. It's not cheap getting silage done. And we go through there, and then the actual Russell Mash header that we're going to want is that one there. It's not the biggest header, and it only does 6 miles an hour. I can't remember what the kilometers is for that. 10 kilometers an hour. So it's slow, but it will do the job. And we don't have very big fields, so it's going to be just fine. No, I don't want to. I keep clicking on purchase. Yes, we want to lease that one. Okay. Now, finally, we're going to want a trailer to go with our tractor. And several people said that they like the idea of the Joskin, the Transpace Joskin. But I've also had a lot of people saying that they like the idea of the Fortuna, which is a really good one. And there were some other suggestions as well. The Ace 10 Marston, although that's only 20,000 litres, which is going to slow us down quite a bit. We've got, you've got that great big one there. That's a 50,000 litre capacity. That's quite a big machine. But yeah, so I had almost as many suggestions of different types of trailers as there are actually different types of trailers here. I think that's the one we used back in Watea Valley. I think it is. So the Joskin seemed to be one of the most suggested, and this Fortuna at 33,000 litres. So not the big Joskin. It's that one there. That's 31,000. So I'm thinking that we'll go for the Joskin this time, because it's kind of a it's a very modern kind of shape. And it looks sleeker and newer than any of the others. So yeah, I've been sort of, you can see all of these different ones. One person suggested that we use like the Bergman here on the IT Runner, which I thought actually that would be a pretty good idea. But I don't want to do that this time. We may actually use that another time. So yes, I was really torn between this one, which is really silagey trailer in appearance, and the Joskin Transpace 8000. And in the end, I decided that we're going to go for this one. We are just going to lease it. We're not going to buy it. Okay. And there is our silage setup. We're ready to go. So what we're going to do first is we're going to leap into this one, and we're going to hitch on our brand shiny new, well, not ours, hitch on the contractor's brand shiny new header, and come round like that. up through to there. And what you've got to do is... Oh, apparently this one, you've actually got to get out to the front. Hitch. No. Ah. Now I've managed to hitch it on. I think I've still got to go out and... I did climb out and press Q then. And yes, you do have to... Do you? Oh, maybe not. Let's just unfold it a second. And... no, I don't want to be pressing... I'm pressing the wrong button. Right. That one will work. And it would just try firing it up just to be sure. I'm not quite... Well, actually, I do need to do that. So now maybe I can fire it up. Yes, right. It does all work. We'll put that down and we'll put that folded up. And we'll get out to the field. Now, I was considering towing the trailer myself the first time around the field. But I thought, no, I'm not actually going to do that because that's not really particularly realistic. It is and it isn't. Some people do, some people don't. But most of the time when you see silage being done... they're not towing their own trailers. They are, in fact, the tractors do the trailers, and the foragers, they just go around and they do the foraging. Now, depending on the amount that we get from these fields here, we've got these two, and then we've also got the big field down the road there. I am considering buying this field here, right next to us, field 40. We'll go and look at the price in a minute. Let me just get this one in here, and... I'll get this unfolded, I'll get the Ford up here, and then we can take a look at the price of Field 40. We're over at Field 40, and the actual price is 166,000 euros, which I've got to be honest, isn't actually too bad. I mean, we could just do a quick job, and that will knock down the price a little bit as well. We're not going to do that now. But we do have those options available to us. So, yeah, we could buy that one. We certainly got enough money for it now, and... Oh, and I did say to people about possibly doing these grass fields this time round as silage bales rather than doing it as silage bales rather than hay. Hay was the other one I was thinking of. Right, I know that we are going the wrong side of the trees here, and so yes, in theory it would sort of be splatting around the trees, but I have done this before in real life. I have gone the wrong side of the trees, and it does still work. You can still get the stuff into the trailer. The person on the forager, what they do is they just move the arm round really quick when they go past the trees, sort of move it back a little bit, and then sort of lunge it forward almost, and it works really well. There's no issues whatsoever with it. You might, I suppose, waste a little tiny bit, but not really. It's certainly not enough to warrant worrying about. So let's just bring that in here. It's very difficult to see what I'm doing with this. Come in there. There we go. And yes, I have altered the speed on the tractor. And because I've altered the speed on the tractor, no, I will not be sharing or uploading this modified mod anywhere. You are free to do it yourself. There is a video from a couple of weeks ago on my channel that you can see how to modify things like that. And if you want to see the video, just go to the videos list and look back a couple of weeks ago. It's that simple. It is there and fairly easy to find. I was thinking of trying to pin it somewhere, but it would mean like having its own playlist, and I didn't really want to do that. And I get occasional requests to sort of see where the video is, but not a huge number, not enough to sort of warrant using up loads of space on the channel. So that's why I decided against doing that. That one's going to go around this way, so it's not actually it's not going to treat it as one field. It is recognizing it as two separate fields here, which is good, because like in future, that's, you know, we might be really glad of it doing that. Right now it wouldn't really matter. It could go and do both of them. And we are on 50% on this trailer now, and we've not quite gone once around the field. This is where it starts to get a bit difficult, because we've got these trees coming up here. We don't want to drive on the crop. But once you do the outside round of the field, it gets a lot easier. It's a lot simpler to be able to do it. And come in through here. Can we squeeze under these trees? We might have to just go directly behind the machine. And this is something that I have done before. I've gone right behind the machine like this. And what they used to have was a great big solid block of wood on the back of the forager. And used to what you'd do is you'd actually drive touching the forager. You'd try and keep your front weight touching the forager, and that way you wouldn't damage anything if he stopped. It was difficult. It's a really tricky bit of driving to get both of you going at the same speed. You don't want to be going too fast to push him forward, so he would go slower than he normally would, and tell you to set your tractor to a set speed. I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, and then sort of the front weights would be pressed against the block of wood, and in theory you could then run round and well, you sometimes on the outside round of the field you'd need to do it, but sometimes there'd sort of be enough space that you could kind of hover along beside it. But it was when you were cutting the field in half and like doing a run up through the middle of the field, that's when you would need to do it. And I mean, you don't often, it does depend on the size of the field. If you've got a really big field, it is quite useful to cut the field in half, because when you're swapping over trailers, if you're the far end of the field, it's a long way to drive to go all the way around, and it can really start to slow down the whole harvest if you're having to drive right the way around all of the fields. But anyway, there is our first load, so we are going to head back. Actually, I'll tell you what, there's 1.5 times around that field. We may not need to be buying any more fields in order to fill up our clamp, because we got these two here, these smaller ones, but then we've also got the great big field up the road, and that's the one that's kind of, that's going to be the clincher for this. I think we're going to do, well, we'll do at least 2 episodes. We'll finish this episode today, and we'll do one more episode of silage, and then we'll sort of see how it's going. I'd like to hear your comments about how long you think we should do, you know, how much of the silage I should be doing on camera. We'll get a fair bit done today. We got this one load here that we're racing up the road with. We'll go back, we get another load. That's going to be a lot of the field finished by that point. And then we'll see. I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to put in the clamp. This 50-kilometer road speed that we've now got on this Ford is absolutely fantastic. It is made, this makes the difference. So I know that some of you wanted to see the JCB Fast Track being used. We will use the JCB Fast Track. That is a solemn promise, because as some of you pointed out, yes, you really do want to see the JCB being used, because so few people actually use the JCB Fast Track in any series. It doesn't seem to be very popular, because I think the main reason is it's not very powerful for its speed in that. So yes, you've got the great speed, but it's not that strong a tractor. It's designed for road speed. It's designed principally for long distance hauling, and that's kind of why the whole thing was developed in the first place. And you don't often have that situation where you need that kind of thing in this game, so it doesn't get as much love as it should. And the JCB Fast Track is quite a wonderful machine, so it really does deserve a little bit more love. But yeah, I was thinking that we'd use the Deutz back here at the yard, but that's something that we're not going to start that today. So you've got a whole week to give me your comments. Do you think we should just use the Deutz or the Ford to do this rolling, or do you think that we should use a bigger machine to do the rolling? And there is, I mean, we could just use a standard wheel loader, and we've got a couple of wheel loaders that are available. We are going to buy back our vitamin at some point soon. I haven't forgotten about that. Several people have mentioned it now. You still haven't bought it. I'm going to buy it. We are going to get it back here to the yard, and sort of use it where we can. If we're getting a Lady Juno, it's obviously going to be less things that we'll be able to use the vitamin for, but I don't think that's going to sort of hold us back. We're still going to be able to find some things that we can do with the vitamin. But obviously we're not going to be using that one for doing the rolling. Now, I have seen some mods of really big wheel loaders, and I mean like huge wheel loaders. Some of them too big to fit in that clamp, but some of them big enough that they could just fit in that clamp, and they will roll it down nice and tight. So, do you want something like that? Do you want me to try and find like an excavator mod and use an excavator to do it? Because one of the places I used to work, that's what they used every year. Whenever they were doing silage, they arranged for the excavator to come in, and that's what rolled their silage down. And that is quite an impressive beast when it's rolling silage, an excavator doing it. It's quite amazing to see, and it was a big chap as well. 2 big bucketfuls, and that was your trailer load of silage that you had brought back, your trailer load of grass. that you had brought back, and it was being spread out on the clamp, and then he's rolling backwards and forwards, he's tracking backwards and forwards, and it would get it down tight as you like. You could not get it tighter. So yeah, the excavator working on a silage clamp is definitely something I've seen before, and it was pretty cool. We used a tank on one of the episodes in Goldcrest, and whilst that was a lot of fun, I won't be using that particular mod again because it was seriously broken. But that was a lot of fun as well, and a lot of you did give me comments saying about the different things that you'd use to be rolling silage with, so there's lots of different variety. So I want your suggestions today in the comment section. What do you want me to use to start rolling our silage clamp? What should we be using to roll the silage with in for this particular harvest? There's various machines available. We can try and get a big wheel loader. We could I mean, I don't really want to lease a bigger tractor. That's one thing. I kind of say that we could rule that out. Has anyone ever used a forager? That's something that would be quite interesting. Has anybody ever actually used a forager to roll their clamp with? I'd say it was incredibly unlikely that anybody's ever done that. Is it going to get round that corner? Yes, we don't need to move. I'd say that was incredibly unlikely, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. Somebody out there may have done that, used the Russell, well, not necessarily a Russell mash. Someone may have used the forager in order to roll their clamp. And if you have, that would be brilliant. I would love to see that. And yes, I am lining up my screenshot. I think this is going to be perfect for it. Showcase the fact that we're using the Ford and the Jod. You can clearly see all three machines there. The sunlight is just right. That's a beautiful picture. That is an absolute picture moment. Excellent. Right, I think that'll do for there. I like having the aerial view here. I don't like the fact that I am so bad at driving that I keep going in front of the forager. That's not the way to do things. Come on round. It is slightly frustrating that this one goes so slowly. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for us here, and I'm not going to be using the machine that we used in the Texas map, because that one is just a tad faster than this, to the point where some of you may consider it to be just a fraction unrealistic. Yeah, there are one or two people who might think that foraging at 40 kilometers an hour is a tad unrealistic. I mean, some of you may think that is quite acceptable. I don't know. Right. Actually, this field is disappearing really quickly. I like the fact that we are getting through this nice and quick. I mean, yeah, it does mean that we haven't actually got very much silage here, but we've got enough. And that 30-odd thousand litres that we did take back to the clamp didn't fill up a huge quantity in the clamp. It didn't sort of take up a massive amount of volume, so we ought to be able to get a good couple 100,000 litres in there, which is easily going to see us through the winter. So we don't need to worry about saving bales. Many people have said they like the idea of me buying in hay. Some people have said I should buy in straw as well. I probably won't buy in straw. We'll probably use the straw that we're going to get from the harvest, and we'll save that for the animals. But then we'll cut the grass and we will do round bale silage, and then in the winter, after it's turned into silage, we could then use those round bales, sell them, and you can make a fortune. It is seasonally priced, but the seasonal price for bales in the winter, everything or almost everything on the map seems to have its best sale prices in the middle of winter. That's when everybody wants it. So it doesn't matter what you got, what bales you got, what products you got, doesn't seem to matter. Middle of winter seems to be the best time to sell it, or most of it. I was going to just like ignore the fact that I drove into the back of it and not point it out, so that you didn't see my horrible mistake there, and then I've kind of pointed it out by saying I'm not pointing it out, and now everybody knows. Yeah. Right, there is load number 2, so we'll head on back, and I will meet you at the clamp, I think. Having this 50k box is absolutely fantastic. I can't remember who it was that suggested it, but whoever you are, genius idea, absolutely love it, and I am delighted that I decided to go and do this. This is absolutely brilliant, because what it means, above all else, is this Ford is now incredibly useful on the farm, because that's one of the things, these big old machines, the one thing that kind of holds them back from seeing a lot more use is the fact that they're so slow. And because this one is so fast now, so fast on the road, it easily competes with any of the new machines. The only thing that this one has now got against it is that it doesn't have front linkage, and that's something that we can sort of get around. You know, there's a lot of jobs where you don't need front links anyway, so it's not really going to be an issue. The only time that it would be is for like doing the zero grazing, and we are seriously considering, some of you have said that there's mods that you can use to when you feed hay it's classed as grass and things like that. I'm specifically not using those mods because I feel that they're too unrealistic. We are wanting to try and keep to realism fairly well in this series, which is why I didn't modify this tractor to 90 kilometers an hour or anything like that. Putting a 50k box on an old machine is something quite realistic, and it's something that happens reasonably frequently on farms all over the place to be quite, I feel, be quite acceptable. Anything more than that and the machine really wouldn't be able to cope with it. I mean, a 50k box could be pushing it. For a tractor like this, it might have been better to settle for a 40k box, so just upgrade slightly from the 30 that was on there, but it's not too bad. I feel that it is still well within the bounds of acceptability to be able to go at this kind of speed, because it's really helping us along. It's seriously speeding up our harvest big time. The only time you've got to watch it is going over the rough ground at the increased speeds. But any sensible driver that has, well, if you're a farmer that has taken the time to increase the power of your tractor, the speed of your tractor like this, you're obviously wanting to keep the tractor. You're obviously wanting to look after it. If you've just spent the time, money, and so on in order to upgrade it like this, you're going to look after the tractor. So you're not going to belt it around on really rough ground and then utterly destroy it. So I don't think that's something that we need to concern ourselves with. So we carry on here. We will see most of this field complete, I think. I'm actually going to fill the rest of this trailer, or most of the rest of this trailer now, and then we can sort of see how we're doing. It's coming along nicely. I think we will wrap up the episode now, and I can just finish off this trailer load before next week. So yes, I would like to hear this week in the comment section down below, what do you think I should be using to roll our clamp this time round? Do you think that I should just stick with the tractors that we've got? Do you think I should get a wheel loader and do it with one of those? Do you think I should get in a much larger wheel loader or try and find an excavator mod or something like that? Let's hear your suggestions, and don't worry about it being crazy or unrealistic or anything like that, because I am sure that there is somewhere in the world that it has been done. You can't tell me that something is impossible, because I've seen videos of people ploughing a field with a... I can't remember what the car was. It was a car. Someone was using a car to plough a field. And I don't actually remember what the car was. Right, where are you going? You've gone crazy. I know what he's done. If I just stop that a second. It's because... Whoa. It's because it sort of reached the end of the row almost before it started, and that just confused it a little bit. So if we just bring it back down here and spin round, line up, there we go. And if I press H now, he should carry right on. There we go. The hired help, the AI vehicle extension, is absolutely amazing. I don't find it to be all that brilliant when it comes to tractor jobs, any tractor drawn jobs, but for harvesting, for both silage and for combining, it's absolutely amazing. It's very rare that you'll actually encounter any serious sort of AI issues with it like we did just then. Yeah, it's an amazing mod. It's on Modhub. Go and try it out. If you haven't, if you're on PC, try it out. It is so worth it. It's absolutely brilliant. I love this mod. Anyway, my weekly question for this week is, what baler should we use when we do our harvest? We've got straw that we want to be harvesting. At the moment, we have a Deutz Variemaster round baler on hire. So do we keep that one and use that one again? Or do we go for this Massey Ferguson square baler right here? It is a standard big baler. Quite an old version of the big baler. It'd be one of the very earliest big balers, but it still produces a big bale. So do you want me to use the square baler, the Massey Ferguson one, or do you want me to keep the round baler that we've already got? It's your vote, it's your game. Head in the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why. And of course, don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Now look at this tractor. It is fantastic. It's got the power under the hood. I have made no alterations whatsoever to the actual power of the tractor. It's exactly as it was. The only change that I made was the top speed. We've changed it from 31 kilometers an hour up to 50 kilometers an hour to represent having a brand new gearbox installed. And the black smoke billowing out, and I mean, the size of the tractors is always impressive. These older tractors at the big box, the big engines on them, they look fantastic, and there is some serious power in there. I mean, it's pulling 31,000 litres of silage chaff. Now, I would guess, looking at the size of the trailer, that you've got somewhere in the region of 10 tons of silage on board there. Maybe a little bit less than that. I mean, it's quite a high moisture content, so you've got to take that into account. So it's probably not far away from somewhere from 8 to 10 tons of silage that we are racing up the road with, which is a phenomenal amount of weight that is sort of behind this, and the tractor is doing just fine with it. But anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.